Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our virtual classroom. Today, I thought I would do a small fireside chat with you today. We've been talking about applying what we learn. We've been talking about inductive, deductive learning as it regards to Bible study methods and hermeneutics, how to become proper, effective communicators. And I wanted to share kind of a micro story with you today. First, has anyone ever learned from a little kid before? Isn't that humbling when that happens? Raise your hand. Who's done this? All right, Johnny, tell me your story. Yes. So Johnny, that's great. That's perfect. I love it. Short, funny, and so powerful. You learn a lot from those little exchanges, and I look for those. I probably see one or two a day. I've learned a lot from my own kids, and in fact, sometimes I even say that my kids are my best instructors. And so do you ever remember a time where like a kid just rocked your world, like just turned you upside down, life-changing kind of things? Maybe you've never had that, but maybe you haven't been looking for it. Start thinking that way. How do we conduct ourselves in these kind of situations? Who do we learn from? That is so powerful. So as I tell this story, I want you to think about what are the implications to the text, but also in relevance and context in terms of hermeneutical application, biblical, practical, and systematic theology. So here's the story. My kids were young at the time, and I was practice teaching one of my lectures on them. I used to do that all the time, and we would have devotions every single day, and I would teach them these deep theological things. It was so fun. Anyway, I told the story of Daniel and his friends that were basically living in this culture that they had been uprooted from their land, placed in diaspora into the empire, yet they lived totally unshaken. They made perpetual decisions that aligned them to be devout in the Torah that was totally lost in this new culture. I mean, they lived this out day in and day out, and they did it really, really well. So, okay, time out. By now, you know the story, right? You know exactly what I'm saying. You've heard this since you're a kid. You've retrieved it. You're predicting my next step. You're even calculating your own analogies in this. How might you adapt this to your teaching, or how might you use it? That's good. That's really positive. That's what I want you to do. But before I go further, think about what you invest here. Hold your thoughts because tomorrow I want to apply this towards our 1 Enoch chapter 69 conversation as it stemmed to the term Son of Man and includes this story. So I'm hold these thoughts, store them away, put them on the shelf, and I'm going to come back to that tomorrow. Don't lose them, whatever you do. Let me continue with this story. So I get all the way through this story. It take about 15 minutes to kind of just tell it so well, all these intricacies that they never knew, the backstory, context, bringing in all this kind of extra biblical material and everything. So I look at them and I go, "What do you think?" And they look at me and I'm thinking they're gonna like be like, "Dad, that was amazing," da 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 da. But they get real somber. They get real somber and they look at me, and I decide I want to capture the moment. So I see the timing and I want to take advantage of it. And so I drop my voice a couple octaves and I go, "Would you guys live that way? Could you do that?" And then they even get quieter. And Ty, my oldest, who was 9 at the time, he's the somber one, thinks about everything. He looks at me and at that moment he goes, "Dad, I can do it." Now he doesn't even say like he could do it. He says, "I can do it," as in I'm going to do it. That was 10 years ago, and I've actually watched him live that out. And it's so amazing to have that perspective, that mind of children. I just love it. But anyway, the next one. Anybody have the one that they're worried about? That's my little Cade. He's the one that is just all over the place, super aggressive, and like I don't know what he's going to become. And he looks at me, and it's almost like he's practiced this, but he didn't. He was 4 years old at the time, and he looks at me and he says this real slow. He says, Dad, why don't you live that way? Whew! Dagger in the heart. I mean, I think we're doing pretty good. Like, I'm having devotions with my kids for 15 minutes a day, teaching them all this stuff that I usually teach to seminary students and everything else. My kids, like, knew Hebrew before they were 6 years old. Yet he says this to me. Wow. Have you ever had a moment like that? That interaction literally changed my life. And one of the ways it changed it is that I learned that I need to practice what I preach. That in order to teach effectively, relationally, all of these things, you have to do that. And you know what? That's actually what Daniel did. That's why he was so effective, because he was bold, transparent, and he was pursuant of devotion. I love that. What does this tell you about your teaching and instruction style? How do you relate yourself to the text? Master teachers demonstrate as they teach.